This is The Wheel Weaves, a Wheel of Time podcast with no spoilers. Welcome, listeners. This podcast is safe for first-time readers because it's made by a first-time reader. I'm your host, Dani, and I'm the one who's taken on the task of reading through this 15-book mega-series. I'm joined by my co-host, Brett, who's a longtime fan, and he's acting as my tour guide on this journey. Before we get into our episode today, we just want to thank and welcome Rebecca Farrell to the Wheel Weaves Patreon team. We're super excited to have your support, and thank you again for your generosity. This episode, we're going to be talking about Chapter 40, The Web Titans.
Yeah, it's another one of those chapters with webs and patterns and tightening of patterns and webs.
I said, I wonder what now.
Yeah.
I also do need to apologize because I am not feeling well. And I'm feeling like it's going to come across in my voice. Podcasting is a hard job.
Yeah.
When your throat is sore.
It's like, that's what your voice looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not good today. Well, hopefully I can support.
It's a bad voice day.
I'll support because I love this chapter because there's like such good information.
Yeah, you got a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah. I think this is a chapter I have more notes than I have ever before. Which
is interesting because I struggled to write notes for this chapter. It was so boring. It is so long.
It hurts me when you say that.
It's only conversations. It's just boring to write notes on, kind of.
Yeah,
because, you know, I'm trying to summarize events, but it's just like conversations happening. And so he says, and so she says. And so I'll do my best to summarize, but I think you're going to need to jump in with your information tidbits, probably a little bit more than usual.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
Okay. Do you want to start us off today?
Yeah, I'll start us off with a fun fact. And this one is just taking us back to the roots of a simple fun fact about Robert Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah, so apparently Robert Jordan was not a very good sharer of information in the sense that he did not like to share his notes or have a lot of discussions about what was going on with his writing. And according to Harriet, he didn't even like to show her early drafts of his work.
Okay.
So typically she would actually receive like draft 12 or 13 of his work.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I can understand that. You want it to be perfect before you let other people see it or read it or understand it, right?
But I just think back to school, and it's like whenever I wrote an essay or something or like a paper for school, you do like 2 or 3 drafts.
You were also a terrible student.
Okay, but most people don't do more than 2 or 3 drafts, I feel.
I wouldn't agree with that. Not when you're writing a convoluted fantasy epic novel.
Okay, a little bit different, yeah.
Yeah, because it all has to work out. It's like every little thing has to make sense, especially, I think that's why the writing is so great, and your writing is mediocre at best.
That's fair. I have not taken on the task of epic fantasy writing yet.
No.
Yeah.
Is that in your future?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I help?
Not till draft 12 or 13.
Okay. Well, should we get into it then?
Yeah, let's get started. Into the web tightening.
Yes. So, chapter 40, there is a picture of the white side of the thingy.
Yes.
For Aes Sedai.
Yes.
Right? That's what that's for?
Yeah. We don't have an official name for it yet.
True. Okay. So Rand just climbed up a wall to catch a glimpse of Logain being brought into the palace to be seen by Queen Morgase. He fell off the wall, just like Humpty Dumpty.
Yep.
After a female voice startled him, and he broke his crown.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he hit his head on something on his way down and got knocked out. So at this point, at the beginning of this chapter, I also think that Moiraine and the whole group should be in Caemlyn by now.
Yeah.
Just timeline-wise, I know timeline's been a bit of a hot-button topic for me, but I'm thinking that the White Cloaks needed to get there probably for seeing Logain.
Yeah, that was the entire plan.
That's what I thought they were trying to get there for. And if the White Cloaks were getting to Caemlyn for that, I would assume they're moving way slower than, you know, Moiraine and that group all on horses.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would assume at this point that Moiraine is in Caemlyn And we get none of that this chapter anyway.
Yeah, this is a very, very finite piece of the timeline here that we're seeing in this chapter.
Yes.
We're seeing like maybe half an hour to an hour of events here. And this is still the same day as when he just woke up, saw Logain, now he's fallen. So
yes, exactly.
It's very possible that everyone is arriving around now, but we don't really know.
Or already there, but Rand fell on the other side of a wall somewhere.
Yeah.
So good luck finding him.
Yeah.
That's basically how I feel going into this is, oh, great. Now they're going to show up and they won't be able to find Rand.
Yeah.
He's got himself thrown in prison.
Just Matt sulking in his room.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Okay, so we are still in Rand's perspective, and he's having some weird dream about Moraine and Logain at like a dinner table or something, and then they turn into Baalzamon, but I don't think this is a real Baalzamon dream because this is sort of just him being knocked out by a fall.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my question is, do you think this is, like, we obviously when things don't make sense, it's a dream sequence.
Yeah.
But he just, like, really smacked his head really hard.
Yeah, concussion city.
Yeah, and it's like, it's very familiar, like, the fact that his head's throbbing, he's getting that vibrating, like, basically blood pounding in your head. Like, he cracked his head pretty hard.
Woozy, dizzy, like swaying, can't see straight, can't stand straight, things
but
like that.
This is an important point, because if this is not a dream and it is the real Baalzamon, that means that, you know, he can get in even when you're not dreaming, just when you're, like, unconscious.
Right.
So, but if it's just like a, you know, not a real Baalzamon, then...
Yeah, I didn't say it was because I think that Baalzamon has a little more control when he's in Rand's subconscious. Like, he talks to him and stuff like that. And this was just sort of like Logain turns into Baalzamon and then he wakes up.
Yeah, it's a very snap.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know these things are sort of spinning in his head.
Yeah.
At all times, anyway, he's concerned about these things. So I think this is just legitimately his subconscious.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
So Rand sits up suddenly on green grass, which I just put a side note on, that we have no green grass except for here and a little bit in the steading.
Yep, that's true.
And so he is for sure concussed because of all the concussion symptoms.
Yeah.
Right.
Like he can't get up, he tries to stand up and
all
he falls down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he remembers about the girl's voice.
Yeah,
goodness.
There was some wild speculation last chapter about who it was, what happened, where he fell into, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was right.
Yeah, I don't know that you definitively said anything.
I didn't say Elayne, but I did say it would be funny if he fell into the palace gardens.
You did say that.
Like he's sitting on the palace wall and he fell in, and I'm right.
Okay.
So
I'll give
I'm
it
going
to you.
with it.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. Just in the future, I'm going to need you to be more definitive in your statements.
Sure,
yeah.
Okay.
Just for the record, you know?
Yeah, I think I've just been lately a little bit cautious of sounding too stupid, but I think that's kind of the point, and I should just say everything I think, even if it makes me sound stupid.
Okay, that could go terribly, wrong.
Okay, well anyways, Rand here looks around and sees a girl climbing down out of a tree, and she's basically dressed like a princess, and here in my notes I say, I bet this is the princess.
It makes sense.
Or like daughter heir, whatever.
Yep.
And I bet he did fall into the palace gardens, and I just sort of laughed to myself at this point in the chapter, because I've already called it.
Yeah, and even the description is kind of funny, but when you think back to when the boys first arrived in Camelin, when they got to the Queen's Blessing, the sign had a red gold haired lady.
We didn't even talk about that, I don't think. Did we?
We very briefly,
I don't remember.
I sort of subtly mentioned it, but I didn't, talk too much about it because I didn't want to give anything away.
No, I did not get it at all. So,
so the description of the sign is that it was a man kneeling before a woman with red gold hair and a crown, and then this girl is described with red gold hair. So it's a very intentional writing and description of the hair. So,
yes.
Yeah, at this point, you could easily say this is, in fact, the daughter heir.
Yes.
So.
Well, I didn't know. I don't know what her description is, though.
Yeah.
But then right away we do actually find out.
Yeah, right away we do find out. So, it's not a secret before the end of the chapter.
Yeah, but what's interesting here is that Rand notes that he has only ever seen 2 women dressed like she's dressed.
Yeah.
With the silk dress and the little slippers and, jewelry,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And he says it's Moiraine and the Dark Friend lady.
Yeah.
And I say, oh, like Aes Sedai, for example.
Possibly.
But we didn't know if the woman from, I don't know, Market Shireen or something, was that where that was?
Yeah, Market Shireen. Yeah.
Or was that where the Pitar was?
It was around there. I could look. I can't remember exactly right now. The whole point is, I think it's not necessarily Aes Sedai dressed this way. It's the fact that Rand's never been around affluent people who have money.
Ah.
Like, that's literally
okay,
the only... He comes from a village who doesn't even use money to buy things.
Yeah.
They barter and they trade.
Yeah.
So he's... The only people who have had money that he's run into is Moiraine and this other lady in a town who tried to kill him, and now the princess.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have a very...
Okay.
Yeah, good
That's
perspective of what money can buy, so...
Yeah, but then also her self-assuredness makes him think of Moiraine and Nynaeve.
Yeah.
So more just really strong women who make people listen to what they say.
Yeah, that's fair.
So when he looks at her, he actually thinks that she looks nothing like Egwene, noting her red gold hair and her light blue eyes and things like that. And then he says she's every bit as beautiful as Egwene.
Yeah.
And then feels super guilty for
Immediately.
thinking that another woman could be beautiful.
And to be fair, up until like a month and a half ago, they were promised to each other. But I mean, this is also kind of an indication that he's drifting and thinking of other people now. Like, there is becoming to be a little bit of a separation between Egwene and Rand.
Yeah, but he feels guilty about it.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I wonder what he's going to think when he finds out about her running off with Aram.
Oh, yeah.
I bet her and Aram had some fun. So.
Well, and what about Min and Else Grinwell?
Oh, yeah.
Giving Rand the eyes.
Oh, yeah. Well, he didn't like them as much, I think, as he likes the looks of Elayne here, so.
Yeah.
So a well-dressed boy climbs down out of the tree after the girl, and he is dressed in red and white and gold, which makes me think even more now that these people are Elayne and Gawyn.
Yeah. And
That's how I pronounce it, right?
Yeah, Gawyn, yeah.
And Elayne, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they seem to be of the same relative age, because Elayne was described as 2 to 3 years younger than Rand, which is the same age as Egwene.
Right.
So they're all kind of in the same age range.
Yeah. And then we get their names right away, and I'm right. But they are like a funny brother and sister who are worried about getting in trouble from their mom, who's like clearly the queen.
Yeah.
So that's funny.
What's really a good point here, too, is that Rand doesn't have perfect recollection. Because sometimes you read any book and then, like, everyone remembers everything that was ever said. And it's just kind of an interesting note here that Rand does not connect the dots at all.
No, it could be infuriating. As a reader, though, I'm like, hey, idiot.
Remember?
Even I know this.
Yeah. But, like, in real life, I don't trust myself to remember anything.
No.
Like,
I gave you a list of maybe 5 things to get at the grocery store.
And I got one of them?
Yeah, you didn't write them down, and you didn't remember a lot of things.
Yeah, I missed like 3 really easy things to remember.
Yeah.
Just because like I didn't write it down.
Yeah,
so,
it's annoying.
Yeah.
That's why I grocery shop.
Imagine how Rand feels.
Oh my.
I got distracted by the goodies though at Walmart.
Did you get Halloween candy?
I didn't. No.
Oh.
I was going to, but...
Well, that's some willpower right there.
Yeah, something like that.
We have enough to hand out, but if you want more to eat, I think we'll have to pick some up.
Yeah.
Okay, and at this point, Elayne notices that Rand has a huge cut on his head and immediately starts to clean and bandage it.
Yeah.
And then Rand is all concerned that she's going to get, like, his blood on her hands and...
Well, also, think of it from his perspective. Like, he's never seen anyone, really, who's dressed this nice. And I would even say, debatably, Elayne here is decked out more with jewelry.
Oh, yeah, I would say so.
And in my mind, if I ever had something like that, it's like, you don't want to be responsible for having to replace the clothes if you get, like, blood. And he's like...
Well, sure.
Also, he's super concussed. Did we mention that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Gawyn here tells Rand that Elayne has the best teachers, so he shouldn't worry about her tending to this wound. If that's what he was concerned about.
Yeah, which is not, but I bet she had the best teachers, because she's a princess, so...
Well, and Aes Sedai teachers, I say. Right? Didn't we get mentioned that she's supposed to be going to Tar Valon?
Yeah, she's supposed to be going to Tar Valon.
But we don't know. But at this point, I think she's already been there.
Okay.
And maybe come back. She's on a break, and she gets to come home and see mom or whatever the heck it is. And
spring break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Tar Valon school.
Yeah. You know.
Aes Sedai school.
Yeah, get a week to go wild.
Climb trees with your brother.
See the false dragon.
Yeah. Oh, man. No, but I say, like, didn't Bunt tell us that she was going to go and learn to be an Aes Sedai? And then so that's sort of where I say Aes Sedai teachers. And then I like the fact that maybe there are Aes Sedai teachers. And
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's a good theory for sure. But that's also why there's a lot of civil unrest right now, because they want to stop that tradition. Like, the common folk want that tradition to go away.
Right. Yeah.
So
Elayne keeps telling Rand what to do. Like, hold still and quit talking and...
Yeah. Stop touching your head.
Yeah. And Rand asks Gawyn if she always expects everybody to do what she tells them.
Yeah, and this is great.
And maybe this is like the concussion talking. Like, he's just like, has no filter and just saying his thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
But it's funny. And Gawyn is kind of surprised by this, but then says that most of the time she does, and most of the time they do.
They do, yeah.
And so she moves on to Rand's hands and scolds him for climbing when he shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And then Gawyn smiles affectionately and goes on saying that everyone does exactly what she says, except for Mother and Elaida and Linny.
Yeah, Linny. So if you just kind of break down who doesn't listen to Elayne, you can really figure out the hierarchy here for, who's in charge. So obviously the queen isn't going to listen to Elayne.
Yeah, the queen's Aes Sedai advisor
isn't going to listen to Elayne. And then Linny says it's her nurse.
Her nurse, who's clearly, like, raised her. Like, her wet nurse, right? Like, I guess that's the
Yeah, I would even say, like, it's kind of like your live-in mother.
Your
because
nanny?
Your nanny who takes care of you because your mother is the queen and doing queen stuff.
Gotcha.
So you need, like, a
nanny.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like, obviously she's not going to take orders. And then Gareth, and we've heard of Gareth before, right. Gareth Bryn. Yes. So he's the captain general of the Queen's Guard.
Yeah, and that's like the Tom story, right?
Yeah.
That's the guy who went to go find Tom and couldn't find him.
Yeah, and this is such a funny conversation because we get a whole bunch of little history tidbits here that really connect dots with the Tom event.
I knew you'd have some good info for me.
Yeah, and it's just because Elayne kind of is rambling almost to her brother about this while she's like fixing up Rand's head in his hands and everything.
Yeah. And
she says even Queen Morgase doesn't give orders to Gareth, suggestions but not orders.
And then suddenly something clicks for Rand and he asks who their mother is.
Yeah. And he's like just figuring this out that it's actually the queen.
Yeah.
Because it says Morgase by the grace of the light, Queen of Andor, defender of the realm, protector of the people, high seat of House Turkand. But before we keep going, we do get a little bit of information about Gareth Bryn and Morgase's relationship. Yeah, because it says Gareth Bryn has served 3 queens and been Captain General and First Prince Regent for 2 of them. So if you look at the history of Andor, you've got Morgase, and then before that you've got Tigraine, and then presumably Tigraine's mother before that.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and Tigraine was the one who went missing. So that was a while ago, assuming that Morgase has been in power for about, 20-ish years or so. We can assume because she remarried Tarangale, who is Tigraine's ex-husband.
Right. And we can get into that family tree a little bit more because I think that we meet
the son,
right?
Yeah, the son of Tarangale and Tigraine.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm not confused at all.
Yeah, that's where the half-brother and half-sibling situation comes in. Okay. But the interesting part is that Elayne says that Morgase and Gareth should go ahead and get married because they clearly have some sort of fondness for each other.
Right, but isn't he, like, old?
Well, so based on ages...
He would be really old, I think.
He should be late 50s, early 60s-ish.
That's too old.
Morgase is probably in her mid-40s.
Yeah, maybe.
If you look at the age, fine. If you look at the age of
Well,
Elayne.
I guess if she had something with Tom, and I think of Tom as an old guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Tom was in his prime, so we can assume that was a while ago. But the funny part is...
Well, so was she, though, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just funny that Tom and Morgase had a fling, and then Gareth had to go and try and catch Tom, but now Morgase and Gareth are something of an item. But not officially, because neither one of them are going to bend their necks to the other person.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's an interesting tidbit that I did not pick up on.
Well, we know...
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so just clear this up for me then. Morgase right now is not married to anybody?
Correct. So, Tarangale and Morgase hooked up when Morgase took the throne.
Did they get married?
Yeah, they would have gotten married, and then they had Elayne and Gawyn.
And then he went and died.
He went and got himself killed.
And then that's when she hooked up with Tom?
Around the exact same time.
Okay.
And then a little while later...
Scandal, sounds like.
It's possible, but like it could have been a not very long time afterwards.
Yeah,
too.
okay.
Yeah, just because it was kind of a more political marriage than anything else.
Okay.
And then Tom goes away because of his nephew.
Yeah.
And then comes back and there's the whole
Ghosts
spat.
the queen.
Ghosts the queen.
Yeah.
And then Gareth was supposed to bring back Tom, but he failed because Tom escaped.
Right.
And now Gareth has still been the Captain General all these years, and that's why he's seen as more like a permanent figure for Andor than even the Queen, because there's been some queenage turnover.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And now Gareth has been around such a long time that Morgase and him have somewhat of a relationship. Just not official.
Okay, interesting then.
Yeah.
So anyways, at this point, Rand thinks, oh shit, way to not draw attention, just fall into the queen's gardens. Just let the queen's daughter tend to your head like some hedge doctor.
Yeah, this was like the worst way to not draw attention to yourself. So.
Yeah, and I just said, like you even had a choice, bud.
Yeah.
She was very insistent.
Oh, yeah.
But he gets up quickly and says that he has to go, and he'll just climb back over the wall. And at this point, he probably should have just trusted his gut and done it. But at the same time, you're in the presence of, like, the queen's children.
Yeah, like
right?
the queen-to-be. And we can also assume that Gawyn is the first protector of the sword. So, like, her bodyguard, basically. So, even running away at this point isn't really an option.
Yeah, and Elayne finds it funny that Rand really didn't know who they were or, like, where he was.
Yeah.
And she at first doesn't believe him.
Yeah. So I had a question for you about this because Elayne is clearly, like, legitimately surprised that Rand doesn't know who they are or where he is. So if at the beginning they assumed that he did know where he was, why are these two so at ease with his presence? Like, do you have any ideas why they're so comfortable with, like, a hoodlum, essentially, falling into the garden? Is it because, like, they trust Gawyn or Elayne to defend for themselves, or...
I don't know. I think maybe it has to do with feeling a little bit of celebrity, maybe.
How so?
If Elayne thinks that Rand has climbed the wall, like, knowing it's the palace wall, maybe even to, like, get a glimpse of her and see her. Okay. And, like, we get, way later in this chapter that she thinks he's handsome.
She does think that, yeah.
Which might play into how she wants to tend to him and talk to him and trust him more.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
So it's just like
maybe it has something to do with that.
The little physical attraction she's feeling might be just putting her at ease a little bit, so...
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
But Rand starts to stumble a bit, and he starts to sort of call her my lady, because that's what the stories say to do.
Yeah.
And it's all very funny, this interaction. And I've said that probably 18 times now, but it is. It's amusing.
Yeah. No, it's well written because he really doesn't know how to act or what he's supposed to do, so he's trying to do his best, but... Yeah,
and he's just saying, okay, I'm going to take off now, I'm going to go back over the wall... And Gawyn says that they at least want his name before he goes. He's curious because Rand sounds like he's from Andor, though not Kaelin, but he looks like he's from... ...
Yeah.
Elsewhere.
Yeah.
And courtesy would dictate that he give his name.
Yeah, so Gawyn plays the old courtesy card.
Yeah. And Rand gives his name and says that he's from Emmonsfield in the Two Rivers.
So what do you think Gawyn was going to say? But you look like...
An Aelman.
Okay, just want to make sure you're on the same page.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
An Ogier.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Yeah. But there's also another note here that Two Rivers does have a distinct accent.
Yes. Well, just different. It's more like Camelin has a distinct accent because he knows he's from Andor.
Yeah.
But just not from Camelin.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Camelin might have the distinct dialect.
Gotcha.
Maybe.
Okay. It's like who really has the accent?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone has an accent.
Right. So it turns out that Gawyn studies books.
Yeah, he gets a formal education that you always wanted.
And, right.
Yeah.
But not necessarily from a school.
Yeah, not necessarily.
But there are teachers who teach him things. This kind of reminds me of in Game of Thrones when Bran was forced to sit there and learn all of the houses and their banners.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Well, and that's a real thing, too, is that typically you would have tutors.
Right.
Like for the military leaders and things like that, like you have tutors.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no formal school system, I don't think.
Yeah.
So he knows that the Two Rivers is from the far west, but he seems slightly surprised, but then he replaces it with talking about the principal products of tobacco and wool. And like Rand, should be impressed with him for knowing such things.
Yeah. Well, and he's not wrong, considering.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
He's memorized.
Yeah.
So
at least the
good for
facts are
him.
right. Like,
Yeah.
we know that he's a shepherd, so...
And he notes that the Two Rivers folk are known for their stubbornness, and then he says that Elayne should marry someone from there. It'll take all that stubbornness to deal with her, basically.
Yeah.
And I just put a little side note that this might be some foreshadowing.
Really? Okay.
That is a very specific thing to say out of nowhere, that his sister should marry someone from the Two Rivers, and then she happens to think he's attractive. And I mean...
Some mutual attraction.
Yeah,
here?
I'm going to start taking some hard stances, and I'm throwing it out there that Rand and Elayne get married.
Okay, but what about Min and her viewing that they were going to get together?
Oh, yeah, that's not marriage, my friend.
Oh, okay,
no.
okay.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Okay.
And I still got 14 books for
That's
all
true.
of this to play out.
That's true. You have time.
Well, like 13 now, right? Like that. We're almost on this one. That's fun to say.
The prequel happens before, right? So,
yeah,
like, you have
yeah,
13
this is fun
books.
to say. 13 more books.
Okay.
But, yeah, so I'm throwing it out there. I'm taking hard stances. No more wishy-washy for me.
Cool.
This is intense foreshadowing.
Gotcha. It's on the record.
Yeah. Although, he says you should marry someone from the Two Rivers. And,
Okay.
And we know 3 boys.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Rand. Okay. They'll have beautiful red-haired babies.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so Rand wonders why Gawyn is, like, babbling so much. And... they all hear a voice that makes them jump. What's this? A tall man, too handsome for masculinity.
He was the handsomest man Rand had ever seen.
Whoa.
Yeah, I just want you to kind of like imagine that for a second here. Because he is the handsomest man Rand has ever seen.
And too handsome for masculinity.
Yeah. So
whatever the hell that means.
I would think that it means he has more like fine features than rugged.
Maybe.
So. Yeah.
Well, anyways... he tells Elayne and Gawyn to stand back because there's a grubby intruder here.
Yeah.
Right?
Look out, there's a homeless person behind you.
He has a home. It was just destroyed by Trollocs, okay?
It wasn't even destroyed. It was just like messed up.
It was really messed up. Windows busted out.
Yeah.
Flour everywhere.
Probably fixable.
But Elayne here says that this guest is under her protection. And then... she calls this guy Galad.
Yes.
Galad.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
How do you say it?
Galad.
Okay. Then it matters. Is there a glossary pronunciation?
Probably. Galad, yeah.
So, we already learned about him, right? Was that Bunt who was talking about that, or no?
No, so this was the same where Gil was talking about the interaction. So
Gil.
Galad is the son of Tigraine and Tarangale.
Yes.
That's their son. And then after Tigraine disappeared, Tarangale met Morgase, and they had Elayne and Gawyn.
So Galad is older.
Yes.
Galad,
So the 3 of them share Tarangale as a father.
Yes.
So that's why they're half siblings.
Gotcha. So anyways, this guy tries to tell them that they should be cautious because Rand is armed, but Elayne vouches for him and basically tells Galad to screw off.
Yeah. So we get his full name, Galadriel Damodred.
That's a dumb name.
That is a terrible, hard,
That's
difficult
almost
name.
as bad as Alan Madagaradran. What is his name? I don't even know.
Alan Mandragoran.
Yeah. It's all bad. It's so bad.
Remember when you were complaining about the 3-letter names?
Yeah, but I was liking the 3-letter names because of all the stupid long names.
Except you're complaining when there's like a Tam and a Lan and a...
Yeah, it was too hard to talk about.
Yeah.
But I liked reading it.
But now you just can't even pronounce their names.
No,
so,
I can't.
Yeah.
But I like the short Lan, and I like the Galad.
Yeah, Galad is short.
Galadadad. What's his name? Is that it?
Galadriel?
Galadriel.
Damodred is the last name, yeah.
Okay, whatever. I'm over it. I'm over this name situation.
Well, it's also funny that Tigraine and Tarangale
Oh,
were
yeah,
married,
don't
so,
even.
yeah.
I've already, in
It's
my
like,
head, had thoughts, and I just
which one
glazed
is
past
which?
it. Just for time's sake, because it's all bad. I have no idea. And then their last name, and Morgase is like Tangtrad or something.
Trakand.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is interesting to note that Galad takes the last name of Tarangale. And
Well, it's
then
his father, right?
Yeah, but then you have Gawyn, who takes the last name of the mother, Trakand.
Oh.
Yeah. Elayne and Gawyn Trakand. But also Tarangale's dead, so there might be something to do with that.
Yeah, but he was alive when they were all born.
Yeah.
They should have had his last name.
Yeah.
Technically.
So
I wonder what happened there.
Interesting to think
Whoa,
about.
Brett.
Yeah.
So, Galad does, in fact, appear to screw off. And then Gawyn tries to tell Elayne not to talk so terribly of Galad because twice he has saved Gawyn's life before.
Yeah, and that's just important to note because the entire thing is that Elayne is pulling rank on Galad. Mm-hmm. And Galad is trying to protect the pair of them. But
from the dirty intruder.
Yeah, but Elayne is clearly coming off really strong here, and we get a little bit
I think that she never not comes off strong.
That's true, but she has a particular dislike for Galad.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, because she says, I hate him, he is vile and full of envy. And Gawyn, fact checks her.
Yeah.
And he says, actually, no, he's not. He doesn't even know what envy means. He saved my life twice when if he had have let me die, then he would have essentially gotten a higher rank.
Well, and been your first sword.
Yeah.
And Elayne says, no way, man. I would rather the lowliest peasant be my first sword before him.
So there's some serious dislike here, and it's, hard at this point to say why.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
But she's very dramatic. That's what I'm getting from her.
That way.
Anyways, at this point, in her dramatic fashion, Elayne says that she commands that Gawyn never let anything happen to him.
Yeah. This entire interaction kind of seems, I don't know if immature is the right word, but they are very playful and making light of this situation that seems kind of serious.
Yeah, they don't get it until they get it.
Yeah,
right?
And it's just kind of maybe speaks to the secluded nature of this prince and princess, if you will.
Yeah, they clearly only have each other as relative peers.
Yeah.
Right?
They don't have a lot of experience with the outside, so even in this weird, awkward setting with Rand, who doesn't know what's going on, they're having this, back and forth, chitter chatter, basically, so... It's it comes across kind of funny. So
yeah, and then they sort of come to and realize that they have to get Rand out of here because Galad is for sure going off to get some help from the palace guards.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't tell lies and he doesn't do anything wrong, and as soon as something's out of place, he's telling on people. He's the tattler.
Yeah, and this is a really important note, and maybe this is why Elayne doesn't like him, but yeah, they say...
I'm sure he's gotten her into lots of trouble.
Yeah, Galad always does the right thing even when he shouldn't.
Yeah.
So definitely tattles on everybody and anyone.
Right, but too late because here come the guards and Elayne growls an oath, which is a funny way to say swearing. Oh,
yeah. And it's funny to swear around Emmons Fielders because they don't get it.
Surprises
They're
Rand.
so shocked.
And then I even have a note. He's just so innocent.
Yeah.
He's just he's surprised when burly men are swearing on a ship.
Yeah,
and now he's this princess is growling an oath. So the guards draw up on Rand, and then Gawyn and Elayne step in front of Rand. And Rand is smart here to make sure he keeps his hands up and away from his sword. So the guards seem a little bit confused because they were just told that there's an intruder in the gardens, and now the queen's children are like there and standing up for him.
Yeah.
So it
kind of sounds like a weird situation. Like they ran in expecting something totally different. So,
yes.
Yeah. But we do get another name here. We get Talonvor.
Talonvor.
I
kind of like this guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a funny back and forth. Like, he clearly has issues with the princess because Elayne, like, pulls rank on him and he's just trying to do his job. I don't know how deep the animosity goes between them, but it kind of feels...
It seems pretty deep.
It does, but it's still like he has to do what she says.
So, we get that Galad had reported a dirty peasant skulking in the gardens, endangering the lord and lady, and they want to take this villain into custody. And Elayne says that can't be true because Galad never lies. And then something good happens here.
Yeah.
Because Gawyn and Rand become new best friends.
Yeah, apparently.
And Gawyn starts saying things under his breaths just so that Rand can hear.
Yeah, it's like lightening the mood a little bit, like filling Rand in on what's going on.
Yeah, and it's the fact that he even considers Rand in this situation is interesting. And now he's like, I got this guy to hang out with. I'm gonna, like, let him know he's okay.
So if you're shipping Elayne as, you know, future wife...
brother-in-law.
Then Gawyn and Rand are gonna be, like, best friends?
Sure. Well, Matt's not being a very good best friend right now,
so... So why not?
Yeah.
Need someone else to take that place.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. Right now, it's just a good interaction. I like it.
Yeah.
So, he says sometimes he wishes that Galad would lie once in a while, and it would make living with him a little easier.
Yeah. We need like a studio audience to start laughing here.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Laugh track.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guard says that the word has already been sent to the queen about an intruder, and he seems happy not to have to listen to Elayne for once.
Elayne already pulled rank with Galad, and now she's trying to do it with Talonvor, but he's like smug about it because he doesn't actually have to do it because it seems like Galad ran off to tell Talonvor and then also ran off to tell the queen.
Yes.
So...
Yeah.
But it's like Elaine's trying to get Rand a visitor pass here, and it's not going so well.
No, because Gawyn at this point lets Rand know quietly that this just means he's going to go to prison.
Yeah, only for like a little while,
and he won't get hurt.
So,
Nothing to worry about if he's really who he says he is.
Yeah, hopefully you're telling the truth, Randall Thor of the Two Rivers.
Yeah.
So.
But then Elayne demands to be taken in front of the queen, and Gawyn smiles.
Ah. It's like a back and forth, and it's like political maneuvering here. So
a little bit with like a 17-year-old girl. Like, well, how old is she? Like,
yeah, she's probably around 16, 17.
Yeah,
yeah, and Rand a little bit older, and Gawyn probably in around the same age. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But then I just mean the back and forth between Elayne and the guard, Talonvor.
Talonvor, yeah,
because he's obviously like an older dude who's like the lieutenant and whatever, right? So. That's just funny. So the queen is viewing Logain right now, and this is a bit of a problem. Plus, Elayne has said that either all three will go in front of the mother or all three will go to the prison.
You know, the funny thing about this chapter is that every time I read it, I always picture Jasmine.
Oh.
Where Elayne is Jasmine.
Okay.
And...
Like Aladdin?
Yeah, Rand is Aladdin, and the guards are like basically the guards.
And like Jafar?
Yeah, well, it's because she's like trying to, you know, learn more about the people, and she's trying to interact with, you know, the common folk.
I like that.
Yeah, and Rand's just like this guy who kind of gets caught up in the middle of it, and the guards are like chasing him, but she's trying to protect him, so it just always kind of gives me that Aladdin Jasmine vibe.
Okay, and then Raja the tiger is like Gawyn?
Yeah.
Who's just like her sidekick?
Like the protector? Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I like that comparison.
Yeah.
That is good. I like that, Brett. So Gawyn lets Rand know quietly what's going on again. So fills him in about how Morgase has a bit of a temper and wouldn't take too kindly to seeing her children be brought in front of her basically under guard.
Well, considering she like tried to get Tom's head cut off.
Yes.
Like.
Oh yeah, and Rand thinks about that story about Tom.
Yeah.
With the queen's temper. Rand's inner thoughts throughout this entire chapter get me. Like, they are good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, remember, like, a couple chapters back with Rand when he was like, oh man, what if I could see the false dragon and the queen all in one day?
Hey, I have that in my note. I actually wrote that.
Yeah, it's like all your wishes are coming true.
Yeah, but in like a bad way.
And also how Gil said, oh, you shouldn't go to Elaida because she'll figure you out.
Yes.
Oh, shoot.
She certainly tries.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
I know we will.
Okay.
So Elayne played this really well, I think.
She's doing her best.
Because then another soldier comes running down the path to interrupt this scene and says that the queen insists on having the intruder come before her as well as her son and daughter. And this makes Gawyn wince and Elayne swallow hard. And Elayne also starts brushing the stains off her dress from climbing the tree.
Because keep in mind, they weren't supposed to be out there in the first place.
No, they were not.
Yeah.
And so I just say, oops.
Shoot, now they're all in trouble.
Yeah. With the queen.
Oh, shoot.
But it's just Mother.
That's true.
So they go off to see the Queen of Camelin, and Rand is still a bit dazed, I think. And Gawyn and Elayne are lost in unpleasant thought as they head into the palace. And to be fair, Rand did say he wanted to see Logain and the Queen all in one day.
Yeah.
I have that written here.
Yeah.
So,
he's getting his wish.
He's getting it.
Yeah.
It just speaks to the foreshadowing of RJ's writing.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So as they walk, Rand notices his surroundings for the first time, and he notices how green everything is. It's all alive and green and super flowery, and he is so shocked.
Yeah.
Like, I noticed this at the beginning, but he didn't.
Because
there's been a lot going on, and
everything's terrible, even in the city of Camelin.
Gawyn says that it's Elayda's work, and I say, so maybe she is the Aja that's good with nature, by my guess.
Okay.
Do you remember my guesses
I do.
The Ajas?
I think you said the green.
Yes.
Aja, because
are
nature.
The
nature
groundskeepers.
Groundskeepers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is where I have a Hagrid joke.
Oh.
But I wasn't sure if I wanted to take a shot or not because of how I'm feeling. But I'm thinking that maybe the alcohol will help kill the bacteria.
Yeah.
And we should probably take a shot. But first, I have to say, that's the joke. Is that Elayda is Hagrid. Yeah, she's the groundskeeper.
Oh, man.
Like if that's
groundskeeper Elayda.
If that's all she does.
Yeah.
Keeper of the keys. I don't know.
And we get to it soon, and she's wearing green.
No, I know. I know. I have a huge, big, capital letters note.
Okay.
But first, we should get a shot.
Let's do that.
But just like a half shot. Is that fair?
You can take a half shot.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm feeling fine.
Okay, back.
Yeah. So what do you have?
Okay, so I have Kelowna, BC.
Okay.
And we've never been to Kelowna.
No, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah, I know. We have to go.
We're so close.
Especially now. We are close. We're within driving distance. And we have a friend who lives there. And it's wine country. And they also have great snowboarding.
We have reasons.
We have lots of reasons. But we also have excuses because of a child.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to drive 8 hours right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
But anyways, yes, we have to go to Kelowna.
Yeah. And I have Roma.
Roma. When in Roma.
Yes. Go on. I don't
understand. Okay, well, cheers to Elayda the groundskeeper.
Yeah, Elayda the groundskeeper.
That was like bigger than I normally pour them. I bet I'm going to wake up tomorrow and my throat won't even be sore.
It's possible.
So, Elayne adds in here about how it's not right that they get to have all the flowers while farms and crops fail all around. Plus, Elayda said that Elayne could pick out the one farm that she could do this for.
Yeah. So it kind of seems like there's a limited amount of what an Aes Sedai can do. Like, Elayda is one person.
Maybe that's what it is, or maybe she's lazy.
The worst groundskeeper ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think that if you can provide this for a farm, like, why just one?
It very well might be just the amount of power it takes to do it for one farm.
Yeah, we have seen Moraine physically lose strength.
Yeah, like relatively...
channeling the power.
Yeah, like it's not a limitless resource all at once.
That's fair. But, I mean, if you can do it once for the garden and you can do it once for a farm, this week, what's to say that next week you can't pick another farm?
No, I agree. I agree. It kind of sounds like something that it's almost like a lesson to learn as well.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe
for Elayne or for the farmers?
Elayne to learn a lesson about, okay, help who you can help, but is Elida's job to go and, become a farmer? Like, is that what she's there for? Or is she there...
if she's the groundskeeper.
If she's the groundskeeper, or is she there as an advisor to Morgase the Queen?
Yeah, that's true,
right? Like,
too.
what's the real job here? So
that's true. But I'm with Elayne here. It's not right.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, so...
But then Elayne snaps back to reality.
Oh,
there goes gravity.
See, that was a good one.
Yeah. And she tells Rand to remember himself and to speak clearly when spoken to and to keep silent otherwise. And she says that all will be well, and Rand wishes that he could share her confidence.
Yeah, worst case scenario for like Elayne and Gawyn is, getting in trouble.
Yes.
And worst case for Rand is...
Losing his head.
Yeah. Or worse, if there is a worse than that, so
a lot of servants are in the palace, and they all sort of stop to stare at Rand and the Queen's children being escorted in by guards.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a common sight.
No, they're like mouths open, stopping in their tracks what they're doing. Plus, they see a striped cat wandering around the halls, and I like that.
Yeah, but the weird part is that there's just one.
Yes.
Because even when they got to the inn,
there's cats.
There's cats,
because
multiple.
There's rats everywhere, and we got that. And so Rand sees this one and only cat as a sign that they don't have rats in the palace, and cats are kind of kept as rat catchers.
Yeah, that's like in real life too. So
yeah.
No, and this kind of speaks to it, and we get a little bit more information. It's because Elida doesn't like rats, and we can pretty much conclude that's because rats can be the Dark One's eyes.
Spies.
Makes a lot of sense that Elida wouldn't want rats kicking around. So
yeah, Elida should move to Alberta.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we don't actually need her here, so...
No. If she doesn't like rats...
Oh, yeah,
then she wouldn't have to deal with them here.
This is the second time we've talked about that.
I know, but you should just, keep plugging it.
Yeah,
I like it. Anyway, so they're taken up to a set of wood double doors, and Gawyn says, at least it isn't the Grand Hall, and says that at least Mother never ordered anyone's heads cut off from in here.
Yeah, and I love this. It's like...
For now.
Is he saying this because he's, trying to lighten the mood, or is this, an actual sentiment that he's just, doesn't realize...
I think it's an actual sentiment.
Yeah, I don't think he's, joking or trying to be funny or witty.
No.
It's he's just thinking out loud.
Yes, and he's well... This is good for you, man.
Yeah, it's a good sign, yeah.
Yeah. He's just thinks, you should understand that this is good.
Yeah, you probably won't get your head lopped off in this hall, so...
Probably, though.
Probably. Maybe
she'll set a new precedent by ordering someone's head cut off in here for the first time.
Yeah, it'll be a fun thing.
And then you'll make history in this room. Good. I just think that maybe Gawyn is feeling bad for Rand in this situation. Maybe because Rand is only really here because of them.
Yeah.
Do you think that they have enough insight to really think about that? Because if Elayne didn't say anything to Rand, he wouldn't have been startled. He wouldn't have fell back. He wouldn't have hit his head, causing her to fix this. And then when he wanted to leave, they sort of stopped him and asked his name and had this whole conversation.
Yeah, I completely agree with you that they do have the insight to see this because Elayne literally mentions this later on in the chapter too.
Yeah.
She says, he's only here because I didn't let him leave. So I think that they do feel bad, so that's why they're really trying to defend him, and Elayne is pulling all the, moves out to get the ultimate visitor's pass
she really
approved
does.
Here. So, yeah.
And I just think maybe if it's not that he's feeling bad for Rand, but maybe he just likes Rand now. They're buddies or something in this together. I don't know. I'm not sure.
And it's also kind of like Gawyn seems to follow along with what his sister wants.
Yes.
So I think he's playing along because Elayne clearly is taking this stance.
Yeah.
And if he's been raised from a child to whatever your sister wants you do, and you make it happen, then, there's going to be that follow through too.
Yeah, that makes sense. So at this point, the guard who has been escorting them, the Talonvor guy, wants to take Rand's sword from him, but Elayne pulls her ultimate, he's my guest shit, and he gets to keep it.
Yeah.
So, go Elayne at this point, I guess.
Yeah, she still has some authority over him here, so. But it also might be that she's trying to do everything as by the books as possible to, like, maintain that she is, in fact, trying to treat him like a guest.
Yes.
Like, if she really digs her heels in and, like,
yeah,
this is how we treat guests.
Yeah, what's the actual, like, saying? It's like a decree.
Yeah, so she says, he's my guest, and by custom and law, guests of the royal family may go armed even in mother's presence.
Right. So she's, like, pulling out all the stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, to make it official almost.
Yes.
Like, not like she's just trying to, play at this.
Yeah.
So.
I like this scene a lot. What comes next here.
Yeah, this whole entire next level.
And I'm going to need your help to dissect it a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
So as they enter the room, Elayne curtsies and the men bow. So Rand copies Gawyn and bows too. But it's not just like a regular bow. Like he has to kneel with his like right knee down and he puts his hand on the hilt of his sword.
So he's emulating like a formal bow that's given by Talonvor, Gawyn, and the guards.
Yeah.
And when Rand copies this, like, it makes sense that
he's feeling pretty good about himself for getting it right.
Yeah, he's, like, got the hands in the right place and the right knee down and everything like that.
But then he notices Talonvor glaring at him from the side and thinks, like, what did I get wrong?
Yeah, and it's likely that Rand didn't get anything wrong. It's more likely that this is, like, an implication of a status.
Yes.
Like, if you're in a certain position, you bow a certain way, and Rand doesn't have that ranking, so Talonvor is pissed off. But that also leads to Rand being pissed.
Especially because he's there, in Talonvor's eyes, as an intruder.
Yeah, not as a guest.
Yeah. And even if he was there as a guest, like, even if you're just some village guest in front of the queen, you probably don't get to bow like this with your hand on your sword, all formal.
I'm on Rand's side, though, because, like, no one's prepped him at all.
No, he gets so mad. It's so funny. And I just say, go Rand. Like, at this point, Rand's like, fuck this, guys.
I'm doing my best here.
Yeah, and then he thinks, what did I get wrong? But then he becomes angry for expecting him to know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
It's also, but if you think of it from Talonvor's eyes, he's having a tough day.
Yeah.
Like, Elayne, who clearly this isn't the first interaction between Talonvor and Elayne.
No.
Like, there's been things before.
Clearly.
And he has to just deal with this shit now.
Yeah, like moody teenager.
Yeah.
Really.
Claiming guest status on someone who clearly shouldn't be here.
Princess being a princess.
Yeah.
I know you don't like that word, but
I get it.
Yeah.
Daughter heir being a daughter heir, but that's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
So
next here, there's lots of description about this room in a palace.
Yeah.
And it seems like a room in a palace.
It does seem like a nice room in a palace.
Sure, with like tapestries and shit.
Not like the nicest room, but like a nice room.
Sure. It's not the grand hall where heads get chopped off.
It's not like that, yeah.
Or ordered to be chopped off.
Exactly. But the important points to take out is who is in the room.
Yes. People with the queen. This is what I have in my notes.
Yeah.
I have some little jots.
Yeah.
Captain General Gareth Bryn.
Yes.
Old guy, but looks very strong.
Yes. So I get a super good land vibe from this guy. Because it's kind of like mentioned where he...
Do we know anything about him in terms of warder status at all?
We don't.
Because we know that... What's-his-face is going to be trained as a warder.
That's true. But I don't think you necessarily have to look so deep as warder status. Think of it as in...
Protector guy.
Well, older captain general who's clearly competent enough that Morgase doesn't order him to do anything, even if she likes him. But it's like, he's a guy who's been in charge with 3 queens already, and he knows what's up.
Yeah.
So he's a competent individual.
Okay.
So that's kind of the vibe that I get from him and Lan. So.
Sure. So then we get a woman in a dark green dress knitting while sitting on a low stool, and Rand thinks about how he can't tell how old she is.
Yeah.
And this, I don't think, is the first time we've heard this.
Mm-hmm.
I think we might have heard this description about Moraine.
Yeah, we did, a little bit.
About how we've always been confused, led to be confused about the age.
Yeah.
At first they look old, but then they look young, and they're ageless, but they don't really have an age.
Yeah.
Like, it's not placeable. And then I have this weird, I have this question about that I know you can't answer.
Yeah.
About Aes Sedai and
So keep talking though. What's your thought process
their
here?
aging process? I'm thinking maybe because especially now that this is for sure Elida.
Yeah, we do find out this is in fact Elida.
So this is for sure. This is like the first Aes Sedai we've met aside from Moraine.
Yes.
In person.
Yeah.
Right, specifically. And she's also ageless, quote. So maybe sort of like a power of some sort. Maybe in learning to channel the power, they can also learn to stop aging at a point. Honestly, I can't place it because I know Egwene and Nynaeve want to be Aes Sedai, but we have an age on them.
Maybe
right?
it's just like some really good magical makeup.
Oh, like Game of Thrones, where she wears the choker, and she's actually super fucking old, but then she puts the choker on.
There you go.
And she's
You know what?
really
And
young.
we never got any more information on that.
No,
ever,
I don't
ever.
really want to talk about Game of Thrones anymore.
Like I was waiting for that to be relevant at some point.
Spoiler alert. She just takes it off and crumbles into dust.
Oh, shoot. You know what? It's been long enough. You had time.
Oh.
So this is kind of on you now. So...
Well,
but yeah.
We've always said no spoilers for Wheel of Time, all spoilers for literally everything else.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But anyways, about the age thing, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's
No
as
clue.
far as it's a similarity you can note.
It's a similarity, and whether or not they actually can stop their aging process, because Moraine doesn't know things that happened 3,000 years ago. She's not 3,000 years old.
Yeah.
I don't think, anyway.
Yeah.
So I would say that I don't know if it's an illusion because of the ability to channel the one power.
Sure.
Or if it's an actual slowing down of the aging process.
Okay.
It's probably one or the other.
Sure.
I think.
Yeah,
I don't think it's actually they stop aging and they live forever. But
Like they're not a bunch of immortal Aes Sedai walking
no,
around here,
I'd
so.
say it's either an illusion or
Yeah.
slowing down of the aging process.
I think it would be safe to say if Aes Sedai were immortal, that would be one of the main things we were introduced to when we first learned about Aes
Oh
Sedai.
yeah, but we really learned that they're not. And they don't know things that happened 3,000 years ago. And a bunch of things were lost.
And they're flawed just like anybody else.
Right, they're just
So,
people.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right. So, turns out Elida is a handsome woman. So, we get...
Who likes to knit?
Yeah, we get Galad, who's a very pretty man.
Yeah.
And then we get Elida, who's a handsome woman. So, it's just very interesting.
Yeah.
Descriptions of people. And I said, maybe I'm right about the Aes Sedai dress code. Because
Where
if
you have to wear the color of
you
your
have to wear the
Aja.
color of your Aja. Not have to, but do.
Typically do?
Typically do.
Gotcha.
That's my stance for now because I label her green and she's wearing green.
Yeah.
So, what the heck else is that going to be, Brett?
It's pretty good logic.
Thank you. I'm good with logic.
Yeah.
Logic is my strength. So, we get to the queen who is standing in this
Yes.
room. And she's wearing a crown of roses for Camelin.
Yeah, it's titled The Rose Crown of Andor.
Oh, Andor. Right. Not just Camelin.
Yeah.
My bad. And she's also wearing an infinity snake ring.
Yes.
And I thought those were just for Aes Sedai.
Also known as the Great Serpent.
Yeah, whatever.
But also,
infinity snake.
You did think it was only for Aes Sedai, but we also know that queens and daughter heirs go to Tar Valon to study with Aes Sedai.
But I didn't know if Morgase did that or not, because she was never a daughter heir. Right? I don't know that.
That's true,
That's
but...
why I'm thinking she has the Aes Sedai advisor. Because she didn't have the Aes Sedai training. She was never a daughter heir.
Okay, so
I
do you
don't
think
know.
that Aes Sedai advisors only come then if the person didn't go to Tar Valon?
No, I don't think that. Never mind.
Okay.
I think there's always an Aes Sedai advisor, only because of the outrage, and it's been that way since the breaking of the world and whatever. We've gotten that before, that there's always been an Aes Sedai connection.
Okay.
But I don't know for sure about Morgase, because unless she actually legitimately is an Aes Sedai and then came into power, I don't think she went because of being a daughter heir like Elayne.
That's fair. We don't get the ageless face description as...
No, she's aged.
Yeah. But she's come into her age quite well.
Yes.
from what it looks like. She's
Sounds like
matured
it.
into it.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So, here's what Rand thinks about the queen and how she presents herself.
Yeah, let's go into this.
If the queen were a widow in Emmonsfield, she would have suitors outside her door, even if...
Pause. Even if...
Yeah,
okay, keep going.
She was the worst cook and kept the sloppiest house.
And it's like...
And it's because of her beauty and her presence. And it's like, if you got a trophy wife, don't matter if she can't cook or can't clean, I want her anyway.
Yeah.
That's the kind of, like, mentality, I think.
It's just really funny because when you think about his conservative viewpoints of...
oh my
like,
God,
just,
it's ridiculous.
You know,
like, what
Emmonsfield.
makes a good wife?
Yeah.
What makes a suitable woman for you? It's that she can cook and she can clean.
Yeah.
Right? And then maybe if she's attractive, then that's a bonus.
A funny thing to note, though, I've heard it stated a couple different ways, but there's a method to thinking where the first thing that comes to your head is how you were brought up.
Yes, okay.
And the second thing that you think is who you are.
Okay.
So Rand, his first thought is, you know, the whole... Even if she couldn't cook or clean, she'd have suitors.
That's how he was brought up.
That was how he was brought up. And the second thing that he thinks is Light, thinking about a queen like she was a village woman, you fool.
Yeah.
Is like, he kind of berates himself, like, why are you thinking about her like that?
That's stupid.
So,
well, and it's interesting because even in Emmonsfield, as him and Egwene are essentially promised to each other, Egwene, I don't know about her cooking skills. I don't know about her cleaning skills. But I do know that she's a strong woman who didn't want to take anything, who didn't want to lay down, who didn't want to...
Yeah, like she'll fight for it.
Just stay where she was supposed to. And I think that those are all really good attributes. But those were attributes that Rand was very confused by and didn't know how to handle because of the way he was brought up, I think.
Yeah,
Like, she wanted to go be an apprentice and be a wisdom somewhere else. And he couldn't even fathom the idea of... How can I make her stay here? Well, maybe we can get married. Instead of like, let's get married and then I'll go move to whatever. I'll move to Devon Ride or, you know.
Like, we are seeing a little bit of a whittling away of Rand's perceptions.
Absolutely.
Of things,
and I kind of like that.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and it's also interesting.
He's going to need it, I think.
Well, Rand grew up too in with him and Tam. Like a very singular family entity here.
Yeah.
So, like, that kind of plays into it too, I think.
Well, and I think that... if I could imagine Carrie, is it?
Yeah, Carrie. Or Kari.
If I could imagine her, I imagine her as an Outlander not being maybe the best cook or maybe the best cleaner, but a really strong woman.
Yeah.
And if Rand could have been brought up by her, I think he would be like an ideal match for Egwene.
And Tam doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would go for the person who's the best cook and the best cleaner just for the sake of it. And I think
that's why he went for an Outlander and then never took another wife. Never
remarried, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so with Rand not having any sort of strong female in his life as he grew up, having Egwene say something that he doesn't quite understand, it was just like the end for him.
Yeah.
He couldn't get it. He didn't understand it. But that's just a huge side tangent, but I think it's actually really interesting to who Rand is.
Yeah, I think it is important. So
for his backstory as a character, and for Robert Jordan as a writer to have that all in there for us to discuss like this, I think is pretty exceptional. So
yeah, I think it is exceptional is a good way to put it.
Because we're talking about him like he's a real person with
a real person
with a real legit backstory and all this. Like, it's all there in the history and in the world building and
how he acts.
Yes.
So
yeah. It's good.
So let's get to Morgase.
Yes. So, I say that I need you to help me talk about this conversation.
Okay.
So, Gawyn is scolded here a little bit for letting his sister lead him into trouble, and his training must be intensified before his journey north.
Yeah, so the first thing I just kind of want to make a big indication to is that as in control of the situation Elayne was, Morgase is in control here.
Oh, yeah. Like, tenfold.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Like, 100% Morgase she's no fool, right?
No, definitely not.
So, yeah. So then we get a little bit of a hint of that, hey, Gawyn's going to get discipline basically on the way north to Tar Valon. So that seems like this entire journey of going north of Tar Valon is going to be happening very soon.
Yes.
And it's also interesting that Gawyn's going with Elayne.
Yeah. Well, we do get that too. But first, we get Morgase wishing that Logain was never brought to Camelin.
Yeah.
Because he is dangerous.
Even with Aes Sedai guards.
Yeah. And Elayne says that he will be dealt with in Tar Valon, but it's important for the people to see that light has once again vanquished the dark.
Yeah, so we had speculated about the reasoning behind bringing Logain in a box and chains.
Yeah, and we got this from Rand last chapter saying, oh, it's more important. It doesn't matter who's wearing what today. Everyone's just happy that light's defeated dark. Light's defeated dark. We got that several times last chapter.
We did. And, I mean, Logain was a specific, very unusual false dragon in the sense that the last couple couldn't channel, and he could. So it's it's doubly important that people see he is defeated. Yeah. Even though he didn't look exactly defeated.
So, no. But, this is also here where we learn that Elayne is also going on the journey north. And I say, interesting. I know of some other boys who might be going on a journey north soon.
Yeah, perhaps all together. Who knows?
Or ending up similarly in the same position.
Okay.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Just a soft prediction there.
Well, make it explicit. What's your soft prediction? Someone's
my soft prediction is that I know that this group, their goal is to get to Tar Valon.
Yeah.
Right? And I know that these guys are going to Tar Valon. Although I do know that Gawyn.
Yeah.
So Gawyn is going to the Blight? Where's he going? Doesn't he not go to Tar Valon?
Why are you assuming that? Is this because the whole Luke thing?
Luke went to the Blight.
Luke died in the Blight.
Because to be a warder in training, is that in Tar Valon? I thought they went to fight in the Borderlands. I'm not sure. I'm so confused about all of it.
Yeah, so the only connection that I think your brain connected a couple things that aren't actually even there. Okay. So Luke was the brother of Tigraine. Tigraine went missing. Luke died in the Blight. We don't we assume Luke died in the Blight.
Training? Question mark?
No.
We have no idea.
Before he could become the first Prince of the Sword, Luke died.
Oh.
That's what is said anyways. Okay. Because the whole Luke and Tigraine thing is all speculation because they both kind of disappeared. So people think Tigraine died and people think Luke died in the Blight.
What is the Blight?
The Blight is above the Borderlands where Shale Ghul is, and it's the area that's been corrupted by the Dark One. Okay. That's where the Trollocs live.
Right.
All the bad things
and that's
live.
Where Shale Ghul and those weapons are forged at Thakandar.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's showing up in their dreams, or Rand's dream at least.
Yes, and that's all the Blight, and the Borderlands are the countries that are literally on the border of the Blight. Okay. So they're in constant war fighting back the things that come out of the Blight.
And is it the Aiel who go into the Blight?
And the Aiel who are in the desert to the east go into the Blight, and the Trollocs call the Aiel Waste the Dying Ground.
Okay, so we don't actually know what the journey north entails for Gawyn.
It sounds like they're all going to Tar Valon.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of the implication here, is that even when Morgase says to Elayne and Gawyn is I'm going to keep you to 100 yards apart or whatever. Yeah. She says, I can't remember, but she says I'm going to keep you guys apart until
warder training happens in Tar Valon.
Yeah.
And that's what he's going for, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not necessarily to become a warder to an Aes Sedai, but to get fighting training.
Right.
Right?
And she's not necessarily going to become an Aes Sedai.
She's going for studying and learning because you can assume that they're educated people there.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I guess that clears some things up. But in terms of my prediction, we know that there is a young group of people. We don't know for sure if Moiraine and that group, who are all together, which we do know now.
Yep.
We don't know if they're actually going to meet up with Rand and Matt.
Yes, we
Camelin.
don't, but that's been your speculation.
I hope they do. That's still what I'm hoping for, and that's still what I'm saying is going to happen. I don't know if Mordeth is going to pop out of a shadow somewhere. I'm still holding on to that one, by the way, if anyone cares. Right. I haven't mentioned that guy in a while. But I do think he'll show up at some point, and I do think...
Probably at, like, the least opportune moment.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's, like, the best for me, is when least opportune things happen. That's the most exciting. Anyway, they're all going to Tar Valon. That's the plan. And these people are also going to Tar Valon. That's the plan.
Yeah.
And Loyal wants to go to Tar Valon. So, I mean, why won't it all work out perfectly?
It sounds like it's going to all work out perfectly.
I love it. So Rand realizes that the woman on the side of the queen is Elaida, and he's really glad that he never went to, like, seek her out.
Except he's here now.
Yeah, but she has a sternness that far surpasses Moraine's.
Yeah.
So, like, that gives you a clue.
Yeah.
Right? And then at this point, Elayne goes on to tell the events of what happened in the garden very simply and truthfully, but she adds a bit at the end about how Morgase is always telling her that she must get to know their people, and she wants to know more about them without a dozen attendants around. And in speaking with Rand, she has already learned more about the people of Two Rivers than she ever could from books. And then she calls Rand a loyal subject.
Yeah.
And then that's like the gig is up.
Yeah.
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 Because...
Well, this is also why I always get the Jasmine vibe, because Jasmine also went out into the city to learn about the people.
It's good.
So.
It's pretty good. And Morgase knows what's up, because she says that the Two Rivers people don't even know they have a queen, basically, and they even forget they are a part of this realm.
Yeah, and we heard this from the village council. Yeah.
Even the first time Rand found out that he was part of a realm called Andor was surprising to him.
Yeah, well, it's also, I think, an important thing to note, too, here, that Morgase, like, realizes and she understands that Two Rivers... like, doesn't really consider itself a part of Andor because there haven't been guards or tax collectors. So it's not, she's not delusional in thinking that the Two Rivers are, like, loyal subjects. Like, Morgase does seem to have a good head on her shoulders.
Oh, yeah, she knows what's up.
Yeah, the same kind of impression I get from her is the same impression I got from Bornhald, like, old Bornhald.
Oh, okay, Lord Captain
Bornhald, Jeffrem.
Yeah.
When he, like, calls out Bayar... on the fact that, no, it wasn't like 50 wolves or 100 men or whatever.
And it's like you're overzealous, you're from the city.
You're overinflating
just like
numbers.
Wait until you actually find out how things are.
Yeah. So it's like calling the younger person out on, no, that's not actually what's going on here.
Okay, except this is like mother-daughter, so even more intense.
Yeah.
I think. So this is where Elaida takes an interest in Rand, studying him because she says that the people from the Two Rivers are not all tall like him and have dark eyes and hair. And then she pulls back his sleeve and says, or such skin.
Yeah.
Referring to how light his skin is.
So his complexion is way different.
And I just need to call to the casting for the show because the amount of people, I personally didn't see any negativity. I didn't see that from our social media or on Twitter. I only saw nothing but positivity, but I heard about how there were lots of people upset about the casting.
Yeah.
And this goes to show that the diversity of the Two Rivers and the entire realm of Andor and the entire world I don't even know what the world is called here. The world of the Wheel of Time world.
It's nicknamed Randland.
Randland, okay.
So.
It's just another call to this excellent casting because clearly Rand is light hair, light eyes, and light skin. Yeah. Which is different than that of the Two Rivers.
Yeah.
So to have people cast from the Two Rivers as people of color...
That makes sense.
100% excellent casting.
Rand is the red-headed white guy.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just good. The only thing I'm upset about is that Matt was cast with blue eyes. And I think that needs to change. Because that in itself...
You have a thing about eye color.
I have a thing. But I do think that the casting is good. And I just need to display my piece right here. Yeah. So.
Cool.
Okay.
But yeah, another indication for
just in the writing. It's right here, everyone. So. Just in case anyone's concerned or confused.
And this also does sort of offend Rand, though.
He gets pissed off and defends himself.
But that's only because this is coming back to his whole Tam's not my real father issue he's dealing with.
Yeah, daddy issues.
That's his whole problem.
Back to the daddy issues.
Yeah. So Rand's justification is that his mother was an outlander, which explains his complexion, his hair color, his eye color. But then also he goes on to talk about his father, Tam Althor.
Yes.
And in my mind, it's like, hey man, stop telling everyone everything about you everywhere you go.
Yeah, but in his mind, his father is rooted in the Two Rivers. And the more he says his name and his last name, I just think that maybe Tam isn't 100% from here. I have speculation. I haven't said it in chapters and chapters, eons, probably months. It's been since I've said I speculate Tam was a warder at some point. He was a master swordsman, 100%, to have a Heronmark sword. I don't think he bought it from anyone. I think that's his sword. But obviously, there are going to be, if Lan knows Elias for being a warder, there's got to be a close network of some sort.
It seems that way.
And so even if Tam is actually originally from the Two Rivers and went off exploring and
there is definitely some evidence that Tam is originally from Two Rivers.
Just because of what Nynaeve said and stuff?
It is, because it was well known that he left, but he left when he was young and he didn't come back for a long time.
Yeah, and he came back with an outlander wife and a baby.
Yeah.
So who knows what he's done out there? Who knows who he's connected with? Who knows everything? But Rand doesn't know that. He doesn't get it because no one ever told him anything.
Yeah. And that's where his daddy issues stem from.
Right. All right. And then so this is where she notices his sword as a heron-marked sword.
And I just got to say pause, because this is my favorite scene. Yeah. I love this scene so much.
Everyone reacts.
Yes.
Everyone reacts.
So I have some important things to kind of point out here with this.
Yes, okay.
So as soon as Elaida says a heron-marked sword, the room completely shifts and everyone backs up, everyone draws their swords. Gareth steps in front of the queen.
Gawyn even steps in front of Elayne.
Yeah, it's like the entire attitude and mood shifts completely. So this room filled with guards around one village boy with a heron-marked sword. This is the first time we get to see the actual seriousness of what it means to carry a heron-marked sword. Like before, it's always been like, ha, is this even your sword? But this is the first time we get to see literally probably dozens of people draw their swords
so strongly. Yeah.
The way it's described, they're ready to fight and ready to die. So it can be assumed that someone who carries a heron-marked sword would be capable of killing every single guard in this room.
Yes.
Which is insane.
Well, and when Elaida says it, she says, "A shepherd from the Two Rivers," she said softly, a whisper meant to be heard by all, "with a heron-marked sword." And the last few words acted on the chamber as if she had announced the Dark One. Yeah,
and to think of how real and how phenomenal of a swordsman you have to be to have one of these swords and have everyone, or these are all trained guards. Gareth Byrne is a captain general, and Morgase is on edge. And think about who gave Rand the sword, who we can assume was a swordsman, a master swordsman.
Yes.
So Tam's capable of killing that many people, probably.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy. Because that tells us a lot about Tam, too.
How good you have to be to earn this sword.
Well, yeah, because we hear the name Master Swordsman, but...
what does it really mean?
Yeah.
It means you can take down a dozen guards plus more.
So Morgase is the one who breaks sort of this silence and says, he's too young to have earned a heron-marked blade. He cannot be any older than Gawyn. Yeah. Which is completely true. And then Gareth Bryn says... it belongs with him.
I totally get emotional at this point, too.
Do you? Why?
Yeah. Well, it's all that validation that
Rand's how does Gareth know that? Why does he say that? So, just because of the way he's carrying it and, what we were talking about before?
Yeah, we had this conversation a couple chapters back when the sword started to fit a little bit better on his hip, when it was,
he's
more
notable. Used to it, and people are thinking that it's his rather than he stole it.
But this is kind of like a warrior mantra of, the sword belongs to the person.
Yeah.
Right? So.
And the queen looks at Gareth in surprise, says, "How can that be?" And he says, I do not know Morgase. He is too young, yet it still belongs with him, and he with it. Look at his eyes, look how he stands, how the sword fits him, and he it. He is too young, but the sword is his.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And that's like all the validation that Rand has been like looking for.
And Rand's like, guys, my dad gave it to me.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh,
that
wait,
makes
what?
Sense, yeah.
No, then they're like, no, that still doesn't make sense. A shepherd from the Two Rivers having this, it still doesn't make sense, man.
Yeah.
All right. So they're still a little bit confused. So Elaida starts pressuring Rand further, and this is exactly what Gil said would happen.
Yeah.
Is that she would figure you out.
And she already has.
Oh, yes. And Elaida asks Rand when he came to Camelin, and at this point, he's had enough of telling her the truth, so he lies.
Yeah.
And he says he came here this morning, and he lies about which inn he's staying at, which is probably a good idea because of Tom and Master Gil.
Yeah.
I think. Unless she can, like, read his mind somehow, then that's bad. But, like, I'm just thinking of the whole Perrin and Egwene Wolf situation where they told a lie and were called out immediately.
Yeah, and this doesn't specifically happen, but I also think, like, I don't think Aes Sedai can read anybody's mind. Like, I don't think it's ever been, it's never led us to believe that Aes Sedai can just read anybody's minds.
No, not at all. I thought about how Perrin and Egwene tried to lie and got called out so fast because of, mind-smelling wolves.
Yes.
But but this is a little bit different because she can't for sure say, but she sure is skeptical of Rand.
I fully believe that she knows he's lying. She just doesn't know what the truth is.
Yeah, that's fair. So, yeah, she's skeptical of Rand, thinking that he's, like, come up with this whole story to entice the daughter heir.
Yeah.
Which I think, personally, that plays into a little bit of maybe some future romance to come. If they're so sure that he tried to, like, entice the daughter heir and then she's, like, into him. I don't know. I think it's interesting anyway.
Okay.
And then...
Have you noticed what she calls Logain twice now?
The false dragon?
No.
The dragon?
Nope.
Oh.
The unbeliever.
Oh. No, I didn't notice that even a little bit. What?
Yeah, Elaida has referred to Logain as the unbeliever twice now.
Unbeliever of what?
Exactly.
Okay. Weird.
Yeah, just a fun little different tidbit
good
there.
Good note. So. Okay.
Well, you didn't notice it, so...
I didn't notice it. So Ron is just really into the whole, I am from the Two Rivers, basically leave me alone. And this is where this whole thing about him trying to entice Elayne shows up. But then the queen just, like, wants to get down to it. What are you naming him? Dark Friend, one of Logain's followers. And then the Aes Sedai replies that the Dark One stirs in Shale Ghul. And that this one is dangerous. So she can't quite put it on him. But she's saying there's something about this guy. I can sense it.
Yeah, so the whole point here is that Elaida doesn't believe Rand. Rand's trying to convince them that he is exactly who he says he is. But Morgase just wants to get down to the nitty-gritty, like, who is he?
Yeah,
do you
what's
see
going
anything?
on? Yeah.
But we get a really important note here that Morgase wants to know from Elaida.
Is this a foretelling?
Is this a foretelling?
Yeah.
Right? So it really does sound similar to what Min does.
Yeah, but
about,
she says, like, are
future.
you reading the pattern?
Yeah.
Everything like that.
It does sound notably different, though. So this is where we get some cryptic speech from Elaida.
Yeah.
But it also is very important because Morgase basically calls her out and it's like, hey, tell it to me straight. What's going on? What do you see? Don't play with your words.
Yes.
So
and then she still plays with her words.
Yeah.
She doesn't say anything straight.
Yeah, but this is the important point here. So she tells the first part very straight and well said. I swear under the light that I can say no clearer. So from this day, Andor marches forward to pain and division. The shadow has yet to darken to its blackest, and I cannot see if the light will come after. Where the world has wept one tear, it will weep thousands. This I foretell. So basically, the world's going to go to shit. So she speaks it plainly and clearly.
Yeah.
But the tricky part is that she whispers the next part so only Rand can hear. So everybody around Rand has literally...
Elaida does? Like, because she's so close to Rand that she could, like... Because she stepped right in front of him, she could, like, lift his sleeve to see his skin color.
She had her hand on his sword.
Oh, right, okay.
She, like, removed the wrapping.
Yeah, that's true,
So Elaida is right, literally hand on the sword, close. and everyone around Rand has now backed up several paces because they assume that he's going to kill everybody.
Yeah.
So Elaida then uses her tricky little words to whisper the next section where she says, "This I foretell, too. Pain and division come to the whole world, and this man stands at the heart of it." So this is really important because it tells us a lot about the rumors and suspicions we have about Aes Sedai not being able to lie. We've heard this a couple times that Aes Sedai have to tell the truth, but the truth you hear isn't exactly what you thought it was.
Yes.
And if Aes Sedai could just lie whenever they wanted to, there's literally no reason for Elaida to whisper so quietly so for only Rand to hear, she could just omit it.
Yeah.
So it seems like there's some truth to it that Aes Sedai have to tell the truth. And her workaround is whispering it so quietly that only Rand can hear.
Yeah, and he just says for the entire room to hear, "I'm a shepherd, from the two rivers, a shepherd." So Elaida says the wheel weaves as the wheel wills, and then Morgase looks to Lord Gareth and says she needs his advice.
Yeah, so she just basically wants to get a summary like, hey, what do we do? What are you saying? Like, what should we do with this guy? And Gareth basically says, well, just lock him up for a couple of days until Elayne and Gawyn are on their way to Tar Valon, then you know for sure that there's no trouble.
Yes.
Right? Because if he is actually here for nefarious reasons...
pretty decent advice.
It's not bad advice. The only issue is that Elaida clearly also wants that to happen. Because Elaida wants extra time with Rand. Because she got this foretelling where she knows he's at the heart of everything, but she didn't want to tell Morgase.
Right. And she said, "I have read the pattern, Captain General," and she flashed a hard smile at Rand.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of the whole point. Is like, what is Elaida's true intention here?
Yeah, hunger filled her eyes, deepening his chill.
So what are your thoughts? Like, what do you think Elaida's up to here? She knows that there's something up with Rand, but she wasn't willing to share that.
I think that she wants to be more sure of what's happening because I don't know about her and Morgase's relationship.
True.
Right? And so this sort of says to me that it's not the best. That they've had transgressions in the past, with them both being very strong-willed women. I bet their relationship isn't exactly wonderful.
Fair.
That would be the only thing I can think of, is that she wants hard evidence from Rand before she brings it to Morgase. Like, maybe she's had incidents where she's sort of said too much without having hard evidence, and it's come back to bite her.
So now she just wants extra time with Rand. So,
and she doesn't seem like a very nice lady.
She doesn't seem like the nicest. So, okay. But this kind of leads us into Morgase, who, in summary, has had enough of all the suspicion and fear-mongering going on in Caemlyn right now.
Yes.
And she's not going to be a part of it.
Yeah, she doesn't like that the dragon's fang is being scrawled on doors and super willy-nilly, and there's such division between like red and white and whatever, So
she says, I'm not going to be a part of it, even if I'm the last person who, you know, is still in charge of justice here. I'm going to give you justice.
Yeah.
And Elaida tries to cut her off and says Morgase, because Elaida wants to clearly keep Rand around, but Morgase isn't having it. So, yeah. And then we get to Morgase's rationale. And this is, like, wildly important, too. So, Morgase has heard Two Rivers' speech when she was young.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, number one, we know that tax collectors and guards have not been to the Two Rivers in 7 generations.
Okay.
So, where do you think she would have heard Two Rivers' speech?
Okay, well, I guess there's 2 things I could think about.
Okay.
So I could think about how maybe, I don't know really what Morgase and her upbringing was like.
Okay.
So I guess it's possible that maybe she had been to the Two Rivers on her own before the whole royal succession war and everything.
Okay.
But then I guess it's also possible that she's met someone from the Two Rivers outside of the Two Rivers.
Gotcha.
And I guess the only person that we really know, and we just talked about this, was Tam.
Yeah.
And, like, why she's so quick to grant him justice and go against her, like, both of her advisors because she's already given the last name. And so I guess there's some speculation here that maybe she knows Tam and has heard Two Rivers speech from Tam. But is that crazy?
It's crazy, but it's also not out of the realm of possibilities.
I don't know. I'm just trying to put two and two together, but I don't know.
Yeah.
She lets him off when it doesn't make sense for her to let him off.
She does.
So there's got to be something more to it,
Like,
right?
there's a lot of reasons why she could keep him locked up for a couple of days with no problems. So, but besides the complexion, besides the fact that, like, he literally used Tam Thor's name.
Yeah, he did.
As well.
He did do that.
He, like, said it, this is where I'm from,
Which is
this
why
is my
I'm
father.
thinking I'm trying to logic it out here, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she also mentions, like, hey, there's no way that you would say, if you, with your complexion and hair color and eye color, if you were going to lie about being from somewhere, you wouldn't lie about being from the Two Rivers.
There. Like, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, too.
And then the last part she says is that the little voice in the back of her head that's telling her that the best lie is, like, one so unbelievable that it couldn't be a lie, you know, it's not proof. So,
yeah, that's
I'm
true,
giving you justice today, and I'm going to let you go.
And he just says, thank you, my queen.
Yeah, at this point, he should just say thank you and take it and leave.
Yeah. So, he gets to leave.
Yeah. And the cool part is that as Rand is turning to leave with his escort, Morgase says, Elida and Gareth stay behind because we must decide what to do about these white cloaks in the city.
Right! Oh, yeah. I do have a note about that. That's a big deal.
Yeah, because we know that there were white cloaks in and around.
On the way to Caemlyn. Needed to make it to Caemlyn. We gotta go to Caemlyn. So much so that they're willing to, like, either kill or let prisoners go. We're not sure of that one.
So it's like in regards to the rest of the crew. So from her phrasing here, it doesn't sound like these are white cloaks who have been here for weeks.
No.
It sounds like these are white cloaks who have just shown up.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we know that they, like, lost their horses and had to wrangle them in the middle of the night and were slowed down probably even further. But they showed up and they made it there, at least on the day that Logain was there. So
So if the white cloaks are here, that also kind of indicates that.
That speaks to what I thought at the beginning of this chapter, too.
Yeah.
So
does it mean the rest of the crew is either ahead or behind them?
I would say they're here. I would say they're in Caemlyn. Whether or
right now or like
right
soon?
now. Right now. I would say they beat the white cloaks. I'd say they 100% move faster than the white cloaks did.
Probably at that point, it would be smart to stay ahead of the white cloaks if you can.
Yeah, for sure it would be. So, and they were really set on getting to Caemlyn quickly. The white cloaks were too, but there was like 200 of them. They didn't have enough horses to carry everybody. Like, most of them were walking. So, I'd say our crew is there ahead of the white cloaks are. So, if the white cloaks are here, that means our crew's here.
Yeah, cool.
All right. So basically, Elayne and Gawyn get to escort Rand out.
Yeah, with Talonvor.
Right.
He's having a hard day.
Yeah.
And this is where we get the nice little formal departure.
The goodbye.
Yeah, and Rand does a little back and forth with her saying, I'm supposed to bring you a small gift.
Yeah.
But I guess they taught you something about Two Rivers folks. And this is where we get that fun little interaction.
Yeah, if I had told my mother I think you're handsome, she certainly would have locked you in a cell.
And gave him a dazzling smile. Yeah.
This is callback to Spencer and my bedazzling.
Yeah.
Bedazzling does mean to shock and stun someone, by the way. It's not just putting gems on jean jackets. But fare you well, Rand al'Thor. And just like gaping, he watched her go and is like, handsome? Me? Like the daughter heir thinks I'm handsome? Oh my gosh.
Gawyn kind of gets a kick out of this too. So, yeah.
And then I think just like the last real point here is that Rand wants to know what everybody thinks he looks like.
It's almost a foolish question because this is a question he doesn't actually want an answer to. And I know this because he's already got the answer from multiple sources already.
All the time, even from Loyal.
Yeah, and Tom in like chapter 4.
Yeah.
Like he's gotten this answer to the question.
But it's almost like he's kind of made this bond with Gawyn today, and he just wants to hear it from him. Like, he just wants
from another source.
Yeah, from just a different source. And he's like, wrap a shufa around your head, Rand, and you would be an image of an Aielman.
And I have a glossary definition for you.
Is it for a shufa?
It is.
All right, well, it's time for glossary definitions with Brett.
Yeah, so a shufa is a garment of the Aiel, so it's a cloth, usually the color of sand or rock, that wraps around the head and the neck, leaving the face bare.
Okay.
So these are desert warriors.
Yeah.
So they cover up their heads. But we also know that Aiel, it's said that when they're going to do violence, they put a veil over their face. So basically their entire head is...
A veiled ailment, right? Yeah, we've got that before.
Yeah, and their entire head is like wrapped up because you can't be in the desert all day with your head exposed. So... But yeah, so this is like the confirmation one more time, really drilling into Rand at this point, I think, because now he has the repetitious thought process of, I look like an Aielman.
And we're really winding down to the last little bit of this book. And I'm so excited. Like, I just want to keep going.
And when you say winding down...
Winding up.
Yeah.
That is what I mean.
Now we have the White Cloaks coming into town. We can assume that the rest of the Emmons Fielder crew is showing up in and around this time.
Yeah, well, because that's the end of this chapter. And actually, because I've been reading a little bit from the book as well with my notes today. And I just saw chapter 41, Old Friends and New Threats.
Interesting.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Let's do this thing.
All right.
Let's do the damn thing.
And I guess that makes this the end of this episode.
Right. So, would you say that this is part of the pattern?
I think it's part of the pattern now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Wheel Weaves. If you're interested in bonus content, cool stickers, shoutouts, access to exclusive insider looks, and to support us making great content, you can head over to patreon.com/thewheelweavespodcast. You can find us on social media where we love interacting with our listeners. We're on Twitter at The Wheel Weaves Podcast and on Instagram at The Wheel Weaves Podcast. You can also join the conversation on our Discord channel. There is a channel for no spoilers that I have access to, and we also have a spoilers channel that Brett controls, so fun for everybody. There will be a link on Twitter and also over on our Patreon page. You can check that out. Please feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe. This really does make a huge difference. Plus, if you want to tell a friend about us, maybe someone who is just getting into the book series for the first time, or other longtime fans who you think would enjoy us, word of mouth is the best way for us to reach new listeners, and we would take it as a really huge compliment. Thanks, as always, to audionautics.com for the music, and thanks to you awesome listeners.